how I think clearly. What's funny is that I haven't thought clearly for most of my life, honestly. I get little bursts of like clarity and the ability to focus, but generally it's very very hard. It's very very hard. And in my case, it's very hard to focus because well there's so many distractions and there's so much need for distraction as well. Um yeah, like cheap distractions. I mean, you probably already know a lot of the cheap distractions, but yeah, I just don't always think clearly, even now. But I can make this video because I've been doing some things that actually allow me to think clearer. And it's very, very hard. I will reiterate that. It's very hard to think clearly, but it's absolutely important, and I'll tell you why in a second. But first, I just kind of want to go through a couple things that I've done to think more clear. So, first of all, I turn my gaze and my attention towards the absolute worst problems in life. And I guess I could kind of add a trigger warning for this. I mean, not really, because it's just a brief mention, but like things like child exploitation, kidnapping, starvation, abuse of all kinds. Actually, I don't need to really say everything, because I mean that's the exact point. Is you already know everything. We're all overwhelmed by all the problems in the world. There is complete overwhelm. I've been thinking of it as just complete overwhelm that is just like attacking us. Um, in human history, there are eras. I don't know who came up with the different eras, but like we have like Bronze Age, Stone Age, um, Industrial Age, or something like that, and then I think now we're in the information age. There is so much information. There is so much to filter through. And that's what thinking helps us with. Yeah. So I look at the worst evil possible in the world by actively seeking it out, researching it, right? But also hearing the stories of just people's stories. Like, people I know, people I don't know. And I'm just like, oh yes, here's all the bad. The next thing I do is I sit in nature, right? Like, I sit with the earth, and it's meditative. I breathe, and it's very cliche too, but I breathe, I take quality breaths, I walk around, I do the basic fucking like meditative sit with nature type shit. But like actually, and then I just breathe, and then I just remember all the good things in life. um Such as like oxygen, right? And it's such a simple thing, and it sounds so dumb, but it works for me. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is it works for me. And it'll work for a lot of other people as well. Because largely, I feel like our brains are pretty similar. Especially, I mean, like, I don't try to be unique. I don't try to be special. I've been called special, oh, like, I could never care about the world as much as you do, or is something that I've heard, right? I'm not trying to be unique. I'm trying to do what is objectively going to help the world. Okay? And that's led me to right here. That's led me to making stuff like these videos and everything else I've been working on. So I do this. I sit and I realize the beauty in the world. The beauty is most abundant when I'm not having any health problems, and I actually have enough control over my brain to just sit, like enough control over my brain, my body, and my being to just sit and just be like, oh yeah, okay, like I'm alive. Like living is good enough for now. Like obviously I want to do more with my life. Like I want to actually do something. I want to create change. Start a bit of a revolution, if you will. But for now, like, living is enough, and it's beautiful, and this is why anything else needs to happen in life. This is why, we want to change the world, is because there are good things in life that are being disturbed. Like, our peace is being fucking threatened. And that is the problem. So I look at all the problems in the world. Step 2 is I look at all the good in the world by sitting down. And sitting with nature, so to speak. And obviously this can be done in multiple different ways. Everything's complex. Everything. I know the difference between good and evil. There's a quote by someone like Marcus Aurelius, and it's like, I know the good, the beauty of good, and the ugliness of evil. The ugliness of evil. Like, I know the difference between the two of them. A lot of people don't. And this is the quote. I'm still quoting this, by the way. Actually, it's paraphrased, but a lot of people don't know the difference between good and evil. So they, behave in these certain ways. I know the difference. I know the difference. At least I like to believe that I do. And if I don't, then someone better tell me. Yeah. I really want to know the difference between good and evil. And this is why I do this. So sitting in nature helps me process things. The next thing to think clearly is responsible content consumption. Like, using my computer with limits. So there's a couple limits. The first one is ad blocking. The second one is like using my computer instead of my phone, because the phone doesn't allow you to actually have nearly as much control over your device. Still, though, there is some control you can have over your phone, but generally computers let you be more mindful. And if you have a computer, use the computer, right? If you don't have a computer, go to the library. Like, that's my backup plan, right? For when my computer fails me, is I'll just have all of the content I've ever made just, on a hard drive or something like that, right? I'll back it up frequently. And so that way, for as long as I live and as long as I have the ability to think, my content should stay alive. And all of my projects ongoing should stay alive. And there's always a computer somewhere. There's always somebody. I have, lots of philosophical, great little thinkings and thoughts about how we should use technology. Generally, I just believe in, control. You shouldn't necessarily have to be served an ad on your device. An ad is ads are just the very lowest level of, all of the flaws with, not having technological control, or all of the problems with that, right? I also believe in technology control because not having full control over our tech has led to child exploitation, right? Child exploitation. That is my field of study, so to speak. I don't learn it through a formal college or education program, but I do learn it, and I learn shit that is valuable, right? And I have to tell myself that frequently, right? Because it's well, if you don't learn it through school or through a teacher, I don't know. I'm trying to undo all of the bullshit lies that I've been taught, and I hate using that language because it's kind of vague. It's like using the word they to refer to I don't know, whoever the puppet masters are. You know what I mean? So I truly, I want to fucking think clearly, and I want to think logically, and I don't just want to spout stuff that's just loaded with conspiracy and ambiguity and lack of context, right? So, computer limits and controls. Also, listening to longer form content, right? So, and there's ways to find better content. I've been watching content from smaller content creators, or even content from boring organizations that focus on child exploitation awareness, right? Because I think it's valuable. I think it's genuinely valuable to listen to like stuff that you think is kind of boring. Maybe not always though, right? Whatever's well made and whatever you need to be watching. That's what I believe we should be watching. Because everyone wants to watch videos or listen to songs or listen to podcasts. Everybody. I can't name a single person who doesn't. Right? So I like to listen to content that aligns with my interests. And yeah, there's a few content creators who I've found who have genuinely changed my life, like have genuinely impacted me and have made me a better thinker and like a better person, right? Because the goal is to actually be a good person to protect good things in life, right? So I'm very purpose driven, right? So that's how I think, is like my life exists to protect the good things, and then every once in a while I can sit down. It's more frequent than once in a while, but every so often I can sit down and actually enjoy the good things myself. But generally I do want to be a protector of life. Forgot where I was going with that, or forgot the original topic. But yeah, just there's been creators who have changed my life by making this kind of content. That's actually why I'm making this kind of content, is because I was inspired by somebody. Okay? I was inspired by a creator called Braden Wellman. So, yeah, he makes better content that's focused on like the general problems of the world, and it's long form, so it's good. Yeah. Short form content is good too, but it's just these little things. Like, we have so much technology in our life that needs to be used properly, obviously, but obviously it's easier said than done, and sometimes you just want to fucking break from the world, which is perfectly understandable too. And I do enjoy content that's just more like break focused. Just you just maybe sometimes you want to stop thinking as much. However, though, thinking clearly feels good. So I've noticed a difference between thinking and thinking clearly. Thinking clearly feels good. It's a bit exhausting in the same way that just thinking is. Like, thinking about all the bad shit and maybe some of the good shit, and just, just thinking, right? Like, everybody, I don't know a single person who does not want to turn their brain off at some point in the day, right? But yeah, there's a difference between thinking and thinking clearly. I think that thinking clearly feels good, especially if you just continue to think and, feel a sense of purpose in it. Because I think so that I can protect, or try to protect. Because if I make these videos, if I do this kind of work, it's going to help somebody. It's going to bring awareness. And I haven't yet, in this video alone, I haven't yet touched on everything that I do and everything that I care about. But, and I guess I don't have to. You could look at my other work to see that. I even have stuff linked in the channel description as well. But yeah, so the next thing to think clearer is to write. I've been writing essays and small video scripts. I've been writing lists of like my values in life, like the things that I care about, the values, the core principles that I apply to everything else. I've been writing those down. I've been writing ideas and methods for having a better way of life. Alternatives to, well, the depressing ways that a lot of us have been living. And, I say that because I've been, and I still am, in some ways, a person who has lived in darkness, so to speak, right? But, yeah. I've been writing. Because writing puts the thoughts into language, and language can be shared with others, which is the point. It can also be shared with yourself. Internally, we do understand quite a few things about ourselves without actually putting it into language, I would say. But I would say that putting it into language does help. But again, it's exhausting. It's fucking exhausting. But on the daily, just writing. And if you're like me, you're going to do it daily for a while, and then you're just not. It's just not going to happen anymore. You're going to hit a wall. That's okay too. That's where the other parts of thinking comes in. So the next thing I've been doing is making videos. Yeah. I mean, making videos. Because if writing puts everything into language, all the things that you care about, making a video forces you to understand it. Like, talking out loud forces me to understand my own words. Which is really interesting. Like, I published an essay a little while back, like a small essay, right? Just like a small little essay. Like, the things that I make, they're not really that great, are they? I mean, they're great to me. They're fucking great to me. But they're not that great, right? Necessarily. You know, they're only going to get a couple of views. A couple of people might read them. Nobody commented. But it was an essay where it was like finding my voice. It was called Finding My Voice. Because I started to notice that, you know, as I have been using these strategies that I'm talking about in this video, I've been thinking more clearly enough to write and to talk. And it's amazing, bro. It's amazing. So yeah. I mean, that's it, I guess, for how I think clearly. But I do want to just mention, like, what is the purpose of thinking clearly? You could probably infer what it is from just me talking, and it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's the purpose of all this is to keep ideas fresh and flowing. It's so beautiful. The ideas, and it's just even the words that I just said themselves, like, make me feel good. Like, it fills my lungs. And it reminds me of a more peaceful time in life. Keeping the ideas fresh and flowing. You've heard it said before that our brains are a muscle. And I don't actually know the science of that, because I haven't learned about it yet. But it makes sense. I mean, have you honestly felt better when your brain was kind of stagnant and clouded? No, I guess not, right? So it's just a consistent exercise to keep our brain flowing. And for me, I even like to imagine the blood flowing throughout my system. Like, it and everybody has their own thing, but it's just like, I genuinely feel better when I just imagine blood flowing through my system. I even like to feel it. Like, pretend that I feel it. Like, I like to feel my hands like this. It's so weird, right? It's so weird to share, like, these vulnerable, like, little things that I do with, like, either nobody or some random person online, right? Like, I have no idea who's watching this. Eventually, somebody I know in person is going to watch this, and that's just going to feel really weird. I mean, anyway, right? Anyway. We're keeping ideas fresh. We're keeping ideas fresh so that I don't know. I can't quite explain it. Maybe I explained it before when I was talking, but then now I'm just like, can't really figure out what I was trying to say. But yeah, I'll just continue, right? It's also how we, like, the importance, right, of thinking. It's also how we apply values to our life consistently. Which it's been so hard for me to do that, bro. It's been so hard for me to do this consistently. It's a nightmare thinking back on just... everything from just ignoring my personal convictions of like doing the right thing to just not following my own values, but thinking clearly puts me in a state of mindfulness to where I can actually recognize what I'm doing in day-to-day life. So for example, one of my values is essentially to consume products and food mindfully. And if I'm thinking clearly, I can look at what I'm eating and be like, oh, this is actually unethically sourced according to things that I've read through focused thinking, right? So it all bounces off each other. I guess I should have mentioned reading earlier, right? Yeah, I should have mentioned reading, right? Like, reading is one of the big things as well. It's like fucking reading. Fucking reading. Fucking reading. I've just always struggled with reading because I thought it meant you had to read books, but you could read anything that's researched or that has anything behind it, right? I read everything. It's just, Reddit posts to Substack posts to like publications and just anything relevant to my fields of studies, which helps me find out what to read a lot of the time, is like having an area of study. That's kind of vague, but it really can just mean whatever you want it to mean. What was I saying again? Hold on. Let me recenter my thoughts, right? Because I just lost what I was thinking about. Luckily, I have a script, like a vague script, right? I forgot. But yeah, applying values to our life consistently. It's very hard. Thank you for bearing with this video, bearing with me through this. But yeah, day-to-day ethics and morals and doing the right thing. Applying those values consistently because you can actually think about them. I guess that's basically it. But yeah, I mean, the purpose is also, it's how, the purpose of clear thinking is, it's how we can piece together the chaos of life, because there is chaos. We're all running from it. I know everyone is running from it in some way, because it's just a natural survival response to just run from this chaos. But this helps us piece together everything, make it make sense. I guess finally it's important because it's how we as people responsibly use the most powerful tool in all of existence. Can you name a tool, a singular thing, that is more powerful than the human brain? Some might say God, some might say like another actual physical object, like, I don't know, I guess, I can't name anything, right? But you probably can. But the point is, I recognize our brains to be what controls everything. I mean, it controls laws, it controls society, is those brains just fucking generating shit, right? Obviously, the natural world, it does its own thing, right? And generally, nothing in the natural world is really as harmful as the human brain. I mean, the human brain has the power to control the natural world, I would say. And I would say that power overrides or overpowers just the basic natural power of the earth, whether it be natural disasters, brain-eating parasites, I just feel like generally people have mastered the world. And I guess I'm kind of getting a little bit overwhelmed because I'm imagining all of the instances where people's brains whether it be world leaders or serial killers, torturers, pedophiles, psychopaths, when their brains are, taken over, and then we see in real time just how horrifying it can be to lose control of our brains. So yeah, I mean, in a lot of those cases, those people are just, they're different kinds of people. They're not quite like us, which is a good point to understand. I suppose they are, people like whoever you want to mention, Donald Trump, right? Could be anybody you want to mention. Those people aren't quite like us, maybe. Maybe they think clearly, but in sort of the wrong direction, which is really scary too, right? What I'm arguing for is that people with good, true, and beautiful potential inside of their brain, those people, like us, right? The good people, so to speak, which I hate saying that too, right? It's like putting me into this little survival state where, like, I'm just like, ugh, like, this is also frustrating to try to understand. It really is. The point on this channel is to try, by the way. Like, the whole point of this channel is it's to fucking try, right? But even if somebody is evil and their brain allows them to think clearly, but in the bad direction of, like, destroying everything, right? That just makes our capability to think more and more important. So with that, we have to use responsibly the most powerful tool in human existence, because it's very hard for me to believe that we cannot make a difference if everybody who's just kind of clouded and distracted thinks. So let me re-say that again for my own brain, for me to understand what I just said, right? If everybody who is just kind of clouded, just kind of like confused, overwhelmed, which is basically everybody, if all of those people think clearly, implement some things into their lives that, they already know about but just haven't been doing, if that happens, then, I mean, I truly think that change will come from that. And now, at this point in the video, I just feel like an idiot, because I've already said a lot of my main points, and now I'm just saying stuff that everybody knows, which isn't necessarily valuable information. I'm still going to upload the video, though. Because I've said good things, and I believe in everything I've said. And the point on this channel is to try. Okay? I have 30 subscribers, all organic. I have more videos than subscribers, which I almost wouldn't mind if it stayed that way forever. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy to say? I do want to grow, but at the same time, it feels comforting and peaceful to just feel like I'm maybe talking to a couple people. I honestly don't know if anyone will watch this video. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But it still matters to make this kind of content. It still matters. So I'm going to upload this video on how I have thought more clearly. How I have been able to, I guess, rise up above this hellish... I mean, I visualize the world as just kind of like this hellish pit of lava. This dark abyss that people with the capability to think have to use their capability to just rise up. It's as simple as that. And now I'm just thinking about everything that I kind of want to talk about, but maybe I shouldn't, but maybe I should just end the video and maybe I should just end the video. Because you understand, and I understand, and the point is to try. The point is to try. I still make these videos and talk as if I'm talking to people who will care. And a lot of people who will care. I am expecting my channel to grow. Because I'm being honest and I'm being genuine. And let's normalize caring. Let's normalize slightly boring content. You know? Let's just normalize thinking. Here's the final thing I wanted to share. And it's from 21 Pilots. You know, they're like famous, or they, you know, you might know some of their songs. I'll just quote it without necessarily singing it, but you know, you can turn off the video now because you got the point. I said everything I need to say, but there's just one final song lyric which you can definitely turn off right now. So thank you for watching, by the way, if you want to turn it off now. But quote, "There are things we can do, but from the things that work, there are only two, and from the two that we choose to do, peace will win and fear will lose. And there's faith and there's sleep, and we need to pick one, please, because faith is to be awake, and to be awake is for us to think, and for us to think is to be alive, and I will try with every rhyme to come across like I am dying to let you know that you need to try to think." I'm sorry if I butchered it, but my point still stands. That's the quote, and it's relevant. And it's self-explanatory, so I'll shut up. Thank you.